Welcome back to another star-studded edition at the Big Mouth Media Podcast with yours truly, King Jacob, where we bring you the best news, media, and entertainment across the globe. Now, today, man, I have a real talented fella, real, soulful and a vocal coach, a singer, a songwriter, and most importantly, man, he a father and he's a man of God as well. So, so that's importantly and foremost. So, without further ado, I'm gonna let New York's very own introduce himself and tell you a little bit about him, so the audience, you guys can get familiar with him at home. As I like to say, we gonna do it for the home front. So, with none other, I'll let my special guest introduce himself.
Well, my name is Ron Anthony, and I am the protege of the late Luther Vandross, and singer, songwriter. I've worked with some of the legendary acts in the history of our music, from Patti LaBelle to Denise Williams to more recently Chico, Debarge, and Amel, Larrieux, and some names that are familiar, but the music speaks for itself. So. Blessed to be here.
Right. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about right there. Legendary, but always serving a purpose when you hear his vocal ability. So it serves a purpose. He's been blessed with a gift, that many share with him, but also been blessed with the gift that inspire and encourage and uplift others to go on and do what he's been able to do for the remainder of his life. So with that being said, man, we're gonna talk about just who is Ron Anthony. Who is Ron Anthony, man? Like, the really give him bits and pieces about who Ron Anthony is and what is the legacy of Ron Anthony.
Wow. Ron Anthony is a servant of God, first and foremost, a vessel. A lot of times people talk about the accolades of what they've been able to accomplish. And, I have a resume. That's wonderful. But Ron Anthony's a dad. Ron Anthony is someone who God gave a gift to in order to bring people closer to him, not to revere me. You know what I'm saying? So although the music is whatever people would say the music is, what I endeavor to make my music do is to bring people close, to make them feel, make them love one another again, and most of all, bring them to submission to Christ Jesus, our Lord and Savior. So you can do that with secular music too.
Okay. So wow, okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The diversity of music at hand that touches people no matter what genre of music you do. You still can touch lives. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, when did you first find out that you had the gift? That you was blessed with this gift?
Pretty young. See, I grew up in the church. So my grandmother was the minister of music in the church down there in Carthage, North Carolina, Stony Hill Free Will Baptist Church. And from a very early age, from the time that they carried me in their arms till I could run around and speak, music touched my life. So when I began to open my mouth, a little one, when the piano would play, I would sing every note on the piano that she played. She'd be like, "Ooh, he's got good tone. He can hear," And when the vocalists, every Sunday, Miss Martha them was gonna sing lead or whatever, I'd be in the, on the side singing with her until they realized, wait a minute, he sounds better than Miss Martha. Maybe we need to let him sing one. So probably about 4 or 5 years old is when I really began to be noticed as someone that had the ability to, share a vocal gift. Yeah.
So upon sharing that vocal ability, in the church house, and so when did you realize, your grandmother sang it first? Because every time she hit that key, she was like, "My God, he's
He
on
could,
key.
yeah, and no
He ain't
matter
miss
how
a
high
note
she
or
went, I would
nothing."
go up high with
So
her. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So once you find out, that you really had something, what age was that? And then when you went to school, how did that register with your peers?
I think I really started to realize I had something when I was probably about 7 or 8. My dad worked for Atlantic Records, so I grew up backstage at the Apollo and backstage at Madison Square Garden and the Felt Forum and all these places. And being able to see the music from how it's made to performing it in front of people, it just gave me a knowledge of performing that really changed my life. I think I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. I talk about North Carolina because that's where my parents were from. They moved to New York, and I spent my summers and Christmases down there. So, in the summertime, when your mom and daddy want to get rid of you, they send you down to grandma's, So,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And I thank God for that because,
That's right.
you didn't want to be running around in Brownsville, Brooklyn, during the summertime when you ain't have nothing to do but get in trouble. So they'd send you on home and, you
Right.
learn some values. But to answer the
Right.
question,
Right. I
yeah.
definitely know about Brownsville.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Brownsville is probably one of the roughest places in the inner city of New York.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty. When MOP tell you how they get down, you better believe them for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Well, look at Mike
For
Tyson.
sure.
Mike Tyson grew up right around the corner from us. We used to call him Dirty Mike, But the roughest, toughest
Oh,
community create that kind of steel. That's why they called him Iron Mike Tyson. You had to be made of something to be able to grow up
right.
in that neighborhood in the 70s, bro. Yeah, it wasn't nothing to play with. Different from today, though. See, they say that the streets are rough today. The streets aren't really rough today. It's just the kids with the guns that shoot you for no reason. That's not really rough. You know what I mean? That's just ruthless. I think the streets are more ruthless today. But see, in those days, it was about
Right.
survival. Because in the 70s, you're talking about right out of the civil rights movement, people didn't have very much. So, people were
Right.
striving to survive because they were hungry. These kids aren't hungry. They just trying to be what they
Mm-hmm.
see on the radio, the rappers, and they watching these videos and watching all these shows like
Right.
Empire and glorifying gangsters, and they want to be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? They're not really suffering. They're not really
Right.
fighting for anything political. When we were coming up, man, we came right out of the civil rights struggle. But we were united. It was
Right.
about black power and black beauty and black is beautiful, the afros
Right.
and the music reflects that. You know what I'm saying? So it was
Right.
natural for
Right.
someone who,
Right.
like
And
me,
so,
grew up with the interest in music. That was the most beautiful time for me musically
mhm.
because the songs and the lyrics and what they were talking about was about changing our situation as black people in this country. That's not the case these days. These cats is not glorifying anything but being a pimp, having hoes, you know what I'm saying? Driving the car that they can't even pronounce, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little different now,
Right. I can, yeah, I can dig that. And upon you reaching high school, and in high school we have what we call drama class. We have the high school musicals. We have different plays and different extracurricular activity that's for the talented students to get in, whether you're an actor, whether you're a singer, drummer, or whether you beat the Congo or whatever you
Yeah.
may do. So upon people noticing that you was a talented individual, I'm sure your peers noted in middle school, but upon you reaching high school and these high school teachers recognizing like this boy is bad, man. Like where did he come from? So how was those high school musicals for you and the talent shows upon the different neighborhoods and the different schools you may have gone to? So how was that level of success for you as you begin to come into your own with your voice and
Right.
the vocals change from middle school to high school?
Right. Funny enough, I went to Erasmus Hall Performing Arts High School, and I was so shy that I was a drummer. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really I sang.
Mm-hmm.
People knew I sang. I kind of hid my gift a little bit, but I was an athlete. I was on 3 teams in high school, and I was a drummer. And it wasn't until maybe my senior year in high school, one of my dearest friends, Ricky McDonald, a good friend of ours, went to a show or got accepted into the lead role of a show called Mama, I Want to Sing, a gospel musical. And he wanted to be in that show. So we, the school was so proud of our colleague that got accepted to the show. They did the school trip and everybody went and supported the sister in the show. And it was his dream to be in this show. So he pulled me along with him and made me audition. And right off the top, he got the role. He got the role first, actually. And then he made me come maybe a year afterwards. And I got the role and toured with Mama I Want to Sing all over the world for about 6-7 years. So high school for me was more about me being an athlete, a drummer, and a comedian, because everybody thought I was just hilarious. So I was too shy to sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you upon Mama I Want to Sing? And I've heard so much about this musical for years. I'm talking about years. So
yeah,
upon that right there, and you traveling from city to city, y'all going out the country and stuff like that. What was that experience for you like as a young man? Because you're still very young at that time. So what was that experience for you?
It changed my perspective of it changed my perspective in twofold. We started out doing the United States, so we did Atlanta, and we did as what they would call the Chitlin circuit. But then when we started to, you have your experiences there, what you would expect, what you don't expect. Of course, we didn't face any racism or anything like that because it's far different from what it was, back in the days. But they call it the Chitlin circuit because that's where, and that's a derogatory term to describe going to places that are frequented by our people. So rather than just call it the circuit for African Americans, they call it the Chitlin circuit because that's that subtle racism. But when I went overseas, I think the first overseas tour was Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and those 3 places changed my perspective on everything because I had never, I'm a little cat from Brooklyn, from Brownsville. You seeing mountains and exotic white folk, you know what I'm saying? And the race we face in this country, you would have expected, especially Germany, you would have expected to feel some hint of racism, and it was quite the opposite. In fact, a couple of the cats that we toured with for years, when they went over, they never came back. It was an emancipation, so to speak, to go somewhere else so drastically different and encounter people that embraced you with such love and kindness that it didn't matter what color you were. And the fact that we had a gift. The one thing I loved about the European people that I encountered in those places is they understood that in our people, when we have a gift that powerful, it has to come from God. So in a sense, they revere that. You understand? So here in this country, they just think that that's something normal, and that's why it's so misused. They understand that gift is sacred, and when they see you using it to do something sacred, that's a star. Not the ones that get over there and just show out. They be like, okay, that's not really, they don't really pay that any mind. That's why all of the older acts still are big stars over there, because they're true to the art of it and there's beauty in it. It's not anything vulgar. They don't accept that. They won't, it's not something that they feel is proper, as they would say. So that's why a lot of the old cats that don't
Right,
have
right, right.
that can't sell a concert here at all, you go over there and they're huge stars still to this day. They understand what it really is.
Right, 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 right. Okay, okay. Yeah, but I've heard so much about Germany, especially to a lot of my family members that's in the army and stuff like that, and they just tell me that how much that Afro Americans get so much love in Germany, and it's just like a whole different eye opener when it
Absolutely.
comes to especially black men that's over in Germany.
Oh, absolutely. Now Japan, that was
Yeah,
even
yeah. So,
more profound. When I went to Japan, I definitely didn't want to come back. First of all, they're very, very polite people. Very, they're honor driven. They're always bowing and very, polite. But they understand the gift. They. It's almost like worship, But I would always tell them, I'm just the vessel. What you're experiencing ain't me. That's what he gave me. So, you know. But there's such
right,
honor
right, right.
in when you share your gift in an
Hmm.
honorable way. It's like a double blessing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
That's dope. So it kind of reminds me, man, of when I was younger. I used to be like, man, why the hell is Michael Jackson so big in Japan, man? What makes Mike this icon to these people that like worship him, like they think he a
Yeah,
god, and
yeah.
like the see a Michael Jackson concert on TV in Japan, it's like wow, like man, wow. And so now to hear you say this about Japan and your experience, I can really understand why. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. They know
I
what
can
they're
definitely
looking.
understand.
They know what they're looking at with the blessing of that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Did I lose you? You still there? Uh-oh. I don't know if there's technical difficulties right here. I only see my face on here. There we go. You coming back?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So upon that, you know, seeing Michael Jackson, then hearing you say it, like I was saying before,
Mm.
it's just amazing, man. And for me to have a witness the voice of Ron Anthony, man, listen, it's serious. So we're gonna get into that a little later on. So upon high school, did you transition to college?
Yes, I went to a performing arts academy for uh,
Okay.
for acting, singing, dance, and technical. So I'm knowledgeable in what's set design and lighting and sound, uh,
Mm.
recording engineering. A lot of the stuff like the music that you've heard, I engineered all those sessions and arranged my
Okay.
backgrounds
Right.
and
Right.
I
Right.
only learned that because I remember when I was at the mercy of the engineer, and
Hmm.
when the engineer decided it was done with the song, and I didn't think it was quite finished. I didn't have the opportunity or the power or the knowledge to finish it. So I said, I'm never gonna put myself in that position again. So I learned so that when he says I'm done, I'd be like, well, good, I'm not. I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. Now I can polish it and put a little RA on it for real, So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. That's what's up. So
yeah.
upon college, transitioning to the whole music world, entertainment world, meeting this person and that person. So upon that, when was it that you say, I'm Ron Anthony, I need an agent or a manager, you know, I need to go some places. And so upon doing some open mics and things of that nature, and you just going to maybe a showcase or something like that, what was the very first showcase as a grown adult that you entered that you just wowed everybody?
Wow, probably a place called Sweetwater's that used to be in Manhattan.
Hmm.
Um, I've done so many of them. That was probably one of the first ones. I'm thinking back in those days, Sweetwater's, a place called Wilson's back in the days,
Hmm.
with a band called the Stingers. We used to be there every Friday night, and man, Wilson's, if you didn't make your reservation 2 weeks in advance, you wasn't getting in. So all of the Knicks, all the New York ball players, all the teams and stuff, all the famous who's who in New York was at Wilson's on a Friday night. And man, he would, I couldn't wait. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday didn't mean nothing to me. It wasn't until Friday when I got to get on the stage. Friday and Sunday, because I got to worship on Sunday. Those were my 2 days. But man, so many people came through there. You liable to see Madonna and Prince sitting out at me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would just be, later on it became another place called the Sugar Bar, Ashford and Simpson's place, which I frequent all the time, still to this day actually, was another hot spot that if Valerie and Nick were good friends of mine because of my affiliation with a lady named Paulette McWilliams and Luther Vandross, of course. So I got to open up there a few times and sold it out every time. When you become a New York name and you frequent a lot of these places and do these shows, and when I'm home, I'm off tour, and you set something up and people come out, man, it's no feeling like it. Because in New York, that audience, it can be funny, but when they always show love, and not only show love, everybody comes and you can't get nobody in the building, and that's every time. Yeah. So far in my career, every show I've ever done has been sold out. That's crazy.
Listen, man. Listen, hey. All I can say, man, I know my ears hurt. So, I mean, it ain't far-fetched. So, upon this, and, for you to be the protege of the late great, as my homeboy would say, do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would say, man, bro, the only pure, my homeboy would say, excuse me, the only pure voice that I have ever heard besides Luther that can compare. He said, it's 3 of them.
Okay.
He said, give me Luther, Donny Hathaway, and Stevie Wonder.
Yes, sir.
I said, listen, man.
That's the Holy Trinity.
I'm trying to tell you, man, like when you actually name those 3, man, like you really doing something, bro. Luther, Donny Hathaway, and Stevie.
Wow.
Boy, listen,
and
man.
Back in the days, they tried to create a rivalry between those two.
Really?
Yeah, and Donnie would get upset because they would always compare him to Stevie, and to me, I don't really see the similarity. I see they're both, the dexterity vocally is there. Stevie is a higher range and in a different timbre, but I think it was about the soulfulness of their voices that were comparable. But once again, the media would try to pit them against each other. Anytime someone compares someone against another person, it always kind of bothers me because they're 2 different individuals. Like they said, there'll never be another Whitney or another. There's not supposed to be. There's not supposed to be another Luther. People say you have Luther qualities. One of the things Luther used to say to me is we have similar tones, very, very similar tones. You can do things that I can't do. I was like, well, you can do a whole lot of things I can't do. But it was like, never walk in my shadow. Never let them do that to you. When they compare, don't let them do that, because it's not fair to it's not fair to my artistry, and it's not fair to diminish him to mine. That's what I said to him. He was like, well, that wouldn't be a diminishment in my eyes. I'm like, but I'm growing. I'm the seed on the tree. How can you compare a tree that's been growing wonderful fruit and then try to compare this one little thing that I haven't even reached my maturity yet? It's not until I get to the point where you can partake of it, and you know what I mean? It's like the gift is still growing. Mm-hmm. So when people, they tried to compare Ruben Studdard to Luther Vandross, let Ruben Studdard do Ruben Studdard. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you know what really used to upset me, and I can remember this vaguely when I was like 12 years old. I heard I heard my dad. We was down there because my dad used to umpire softball games.
Mm.
So we was down on the softball field. And I had some older brothers talking about some people around my dad's age, and they were talking about man. Mr. Jerome said, I don't know why that they compare Luther and Freddie Jackson. Like the
Yeah,
tonality is not the same.
it's totally
He said,
different.
they said both of them are iconic in their own right.
Absolutely,
He said, but yeah, and both of them can sing their tails off.
absolutely.
He said, but to make that comparison just because both of them was on a top plateau at the
They
same
both sang
time.
love songs, and they would. Freddie's another good buddy of mine. We talk about that all the time. He said, "I don't know why they always." And in a sense, they were trying to create a a gap between them by doing
Right,
that, because artists have egos.
right,
You know what I'm saying? Luther was the kind of person who you wasn't gonna be able to bait in like that. You know, Freddie might have, if you know, if Luther would have came, you know, and said, "Yeah, well, you know, I'm better" or whatever, Freddie would have probably responded. But
right.
if you know, Luther would have not even responded to that because he didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? And thankfully, they never had that. They were friends. They were good friends. They've never had that kind of adversarial, you know, type situation. But
Eh,
their voices are totally different. They were both love song cats, and
right.
they should have just, you know, left it at that. You know, these are two brothers that, you know, are phenomenal, and the ladies love them.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And what's funny about that, man? I seen Freddie do an interview,
mm.
and and he was like, man, Luther, you know, when we see each other or when we call one another, he said we would just laugh about it, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was just hilarious to us, man.
Yeah,
It's like kind of like when you know Luther was saying one time, it's kind of like when people try to grow the wedge with the Temptations and the
and
Four
the four
Tops.
tops, right, right.
Yeah, and so the leader of the Four Tops and Eddie
Levi
Kendrick used to
Stubbs,
laugh about it. You know what I
right?
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They just used to laugh about it, man.
Right.
And they was like, well, why do people know more Temptation songs than Four Tops? I say you got to rephrase of what people you talking about, because some people know all of their songs, both groups.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta kind of. I think the younger generation know a lot of Temptation songs because all their mamas was in love with David Ruffin.
Right. Right. Exactly.
It's
David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks, because Eddie was
right,
good too. You know, yeah, yeah.
right. So with that being said, man, you always have the music, critics that try to compare and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
just like I heard somebody say that who was the best singer between Beyonce and Mariah Carey. I said, man, please leave that one alone. Please leave that one alone. We ain't gonna even talk about them. We're gonna get back at hand, man. So
Right.
when did you get the position of being a protege of the late great Luther Vandross? Like
Wow.
how did that come about?
Funny enough, I was doing Mama I Want to Sing Part 3, which was called Born to Sing. Just
Mm-hmm.
so happened on one Saturday night on Mother's Day, Luther decided to bring his mother to the show.
Okay.
And we backstage, and everybody's like, I think I saw Luther Vandross in the audience. I'm like, oh my God. I've been a Luther Vandross fan before Luther was Luther. You know, when
Right.
Luther was doing jingles, I knew who Luther was. But once again,
Right.
my father worked for Atlantic Records, so one of his buddies was the cat that did all of the commercials, a cat named Kenny Williams. His son,
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Seymour, is the one who's the musical director for Ain't Too Proud right now on Broadway. I grew up with
Okay.
him. We used to play together when we were kids. So that show happened. There's a scene in the show where I come on and I do my thing. It was that's a long story. At the end of the show, Luther comes backstage to meet the cast. He said, I enjoyed the show so much. He said, where is Brother Ahmed? Because in the scene that I did, I pretended I was an Arabic guy. And I said, my name is Ahmed Muhammad
Uh
Lahim Jackson. I'm from Harlem. You know, it was part of the skit.
huh.
and we sang the Clark Sisters, "Is My Living in Vain?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I need to meet Brother Ahmed." So everybody starts laughing. He said, "Oh, that's Ron over there." And I'm standing in the corner like, I cannot believe Luther is asking for me. So he walks over, he's laughing. He said, "Man, you were hilarious." Because once again, I got that little, I'm a fake stand-up comedian, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He said, "But let me tell you something on a serious tip." He said, "Your tone is amazing. I want to work with you." My eyes got as big as a 70-inch flat screen TV. And I'm like, you want to what? I want to work with you, man. I'm gonna get your number from your producers here on this show. I'm gonna be throwing you some opportunities because I see something in you, brother. I don't remember going home that night. I just remember once I woke up the next morning because I
So
floated. It just,
so upon hearing this news, and you just baffled, your mind's all over the place, and being that your pops worked for Atlantic Records, and what was the next conversation you had with your pops after you got this news from Luther? After
wow.
Luther told you this?
Well, at that point, my dad was no longer. He was down in Atlanta at the time, or
Okay.
in North Carolina rather. I don't think I told him immediately because for me it was like before that I had so many situations in terms of people saying things to me and promising me things and bringing me contracts that were like nothing that should realistically been considered.
Mm-hmm.
I waited until Luther called me maybe about a month later and said, "Diana Ross and the Supremes are doing a reunion tour around the States, and then it's going to be international. I want you on that gig. You're going to be one of the background singers on that gig." I'm like, "What? You're going to earn blah, 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 $1,000 a show and whatever. And you start rehearsals in about 2 weeks." So he sends his buddy over, Fonzie Thornton. No, actually, I went over to his house to do my official audition, to test my ear for harmony. Got the gig. But unfortunately, at the point when we were about to leave, Diana decided since the rehearsals were going to be in LA, they should hire people from LA.
Okay.
So that fell out because I was in New York. I said, "Well, it's easy for me to get on a plane. I can be from wherever I need to be from to do this gig."
Mm-hmm.
So it ended, and then after that, it ended up that Diana and whomever, the tour never happened, so to speak. But the fact that he considered me for that was an honor. Later on, while singing background for a woman named Paulette McWilliams, who's like my other mother, who was one of his main background singers as well, sees me again, is like, "Oh my goodness, there's that kid." And we got signed to Luther, a group called Vintage. And I was one of the lead singers. We all four of us sang lead, but it was.
So the group Vintage you signed to, that was actually Luther's group on Luther's label.
Yes.
Okay. Oh man. So upon getting this deal with Luther, man, listen, man, not too many people get deals with legendary people, and not too many people has a chance to be connected with Luther and had a chance to be connected to his girl, Patti LaBelle.
Oh, wow.
If you know anything about Patti, she loved some Luther, and Luther loved her. They was tight,
Oh,
like
yeah.
real tight,
Yeah.
like real tight. So upon working with Luther, man, like what was the very, very first big tour y'all did? Was it like 30 cities, 40 cities, 50 cities? Like,
well, when we Luther, see, the thing was with Luther, he didn't have us as touring like that. We did the CBS morning show with Brian Gumbel.
Okay.
And killed that. Luther's intention for us wasn't for us to be rolling around on the road with us. He was going to debut us as a group that was going to be the most phenomenal male vocal group, because all four of the guys were such strong vocalists. Myself, a brother named Ricky McDonald, the same one I went to high school with, Jamily Gray, and a brother named Derek Watkins. We sang background for Paulette McWilliams. That's how Luther, really caught sight of us at a place called Joe's Pub. And we got a chance to be around cats like Ivan Hampton, one of my big brothers, Nat Adderley Jr., who today is still one of my dearest friends. I call him and pester him all the time. Nat is the one that produced, all of the big hits on Luther. His intention for us was to get in there with material that was so strong that it was going to fortify what R&B is and should be. And, his early demise, unfortunately, cut that plan short. It was something that changed all of our lives. But all of the cats are still around, and I'm still working with Nat. I got some amazing stuff that we done that we're gonna finish up, and we're looking for maybe some kind of summer release or something like that. With the COVID, it's hard to get together and really finish up some things.
But with you, my brother, you definitely need you up there in New York, and there's some wonderful sync representatives in New York.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, it's some wonderful ones, man, when it comes to the film and the media and stuff like that, man. And
I have so much material for some films. Let me tell you a quick story. I did the original back in the days when American Gangster was being conceived and they started shooting. I was good friends with Frank Lucas and Frank Lucas Jr., but more so Frank Lucas Sr., because Junior and Senior would have their thing sometime. It was funny to watch. You know how dads and sons can be sometimes.
Right.
But I put together an amazing soundtrack that was more period based, because of course Frank Lucas was in the period of the 70s. So we presented some things. It looked like it was going to go, but then they ended up giving it to Jay-Z because, it's Jay-Z, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, he is who he is.
Yeah. But I still have so much material that we're looking at dropping in some films. So if anybody needs something fantastic, let me know. I got some things. I'm looking at one of my buddies, a cat named Anthony Malachi. He's an independent filmmaker. Has a piece that's coming up, and I've got some stuff on that. So, a piece called "Love Is Complicated." So,
okay,
drops. Everybody look for that. It's gonna be a great movie.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So, upon you worked with Luther for a while, and then we had the tragic news. So, man, what else has been? So before I get into that, let me tell the audience about this, man. This was 2000 and was that 2018?
17, 18, yeah. Mm-hmm.
2018 in Maysville, South Carolina. So I get a call, maybe about 3 months before the Bethune-Cookman Festival. They said, "Well, Jacob, man, I got something I want you to be a part of, and just to come down and network and meet some people." And so it was the legacy of, she's your auntie, right?
He's yes, great.
Dr. Mary,
Mary
Yeah, so and that's
my name is Ron Anthony, but it's Ronnie Anthony McLeod Jr. So I'm a McLeod.
Okay. So with that being said, I get down there. We get down there on a Friday, and all of this meeting, all of us met at the Golden Corral. So they sit me at this table, and on one side of me is Candy Staten, and the other side of me is
Bone Crusher Smith.
Bone Crusher Smith, right? And so somebody says to me, "We got a special surprise for you this weekend." I said, "Well, what other more surprises can I get?" I'm sitting beside, the Xbox of Bone Crusher Smith and Candy Staten. I used to hear my granny play her record, so you know what I mean. So, and then they's like, "Oh man, listen, man, we got a fella that in the world with Luther Vandross, and this legacy that we celebrating is his great aunties." Yeah, and you say so. Time going on, dappy up, I meet you, and you know what I'm saying, and I'm out there, beating that, and the sun beating my forehead and beating my neck. And I see you get on stage, and I said, man, wow. I was like, and I was like, they was like, no, Jacob, he ain't from NYC. He just live up there. They was like, that's a Carolina boy, man. Like for real, for real. You know, his folks just migrated up there.
Right.
But he definitely Carolina bred.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so and then we get invited that night to the VFW, and
oh man,
they said Jacob, well, you know, Farida and Ron gonna sing, and we gonna just sit here and watch, and I said, oh my, I said, listen, man. I said, if he, and then when you got on that stage and did Stevie Wonder, bro, I said, you know, he just gave them a little taste at the festival. But when you got on there and did that Stevie Wonder, man, that Superstition, man, I was like, you know what, man.
I love it was, but I was singing back or whatever. See, at that VFW, they had a live band.
Yeah, man.
Don't you turn this fool loose with a live band. Now let me do what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was liberating. So, and the audience,
yeah,
going down, and you got some folk that really want to have a good time, and they're listening to, and they ain't these little young kids that don't know how to really appreciate music. You're gonna mess around and have a good time, man. We had a blast that night, and we sang and sang, and
yeah, man. We had a wonderful time, man. And you know, I said myself in my head, I said, he touched that mic in the way that band is playing like they at church revival.
Bruh.
Listen, man, listen.
They almost wouldn't let me sit down.
You know? I know, man. And I know for a fact, man, that and me and Rod was talking, and man, like as soon as this COVID thing let up, man, we're gonna go crazy with these shows. Go crazy with them. Crazy. And matter of fact, I just got off a call the other day. I have my friend Sterling, he deals with this guy that does a Sam Cooke tribute all around the country.
Wow.
And I thought about it as I was thinking about the interview today. I say, you know what? I need to plug Ron with my man Sterling, man, because you and that guy hook up.
Woo!
Listen, man, I'm trying to tell you, yeah, bro. So
can you do that Sam for real?
Yeah, he can do that Sam, bro.
Oh, come on now. I love that.
Yeah, man. He can do that Sam, man. So yeah, man, he can do that Sam, because if you can do Sam, you're a bad boy.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Remember when the stars were really stars?
Yeah.
Where you and nobody sounded like anybody. That's why I couldn't Donnie. But name me 5 definitive stars today that can compare when we had Aretha and Donnie and Stevie and so many others. Sam Cooke, Otis Redding.
Nah, man. I can say, man, cause you had, Anita, but like when it was out there like that, you kind of had like, I think Gerald Levert didn't sound like nobody but his daddy, but that's his daddy. You know what I'm saying? And
that was
I think that, man, that it's just a few cats, man, that like you had Prince and Mike out there together.
Yeah.
Mike could never sound like Prince, and Prince could never sound like Mike.
But they stayed in their own lane, and it was
yeah. Yeah, man, you're right, man.
I'm talking about today. Who is the big star today? Who's that voice that you'd be like, oh, did you hear? Like, no disrespect at all. They're making a big deal out of Adele, and I think Adele is very talented. I remember Shaka Khan.
See, listen, man. Adele is very talented, man, but Bro, she ain't no more talented than Jennifer Hudson. Ain't even close.
But they don't make a big deal out of our stars.
Right. Because they don't want our stars to do what they do anymore.
I wonder why. When it makes them so much money. You dig where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
They want to exploit their ability and make money on it, but they just don't want it to shine just as brightly as their Caucasian contemporaries. Even though they're making money, they still don't want to afford them the ability to have that much impact. You can be
But do you
important,
remember?
but you can't be that important.
But do you remember when it was no Caucasian contemporaries? When they had to make them so they can groom them for 5 years to get trained by the best black vocal coaches on the globe.
Oh, sure.
And now this is why you have contemporary stars. Hey, I mean, if you want to be honest with it, Jason Timberlake spill out the Justin Timberlake spill out all the beans. Right. He said he said my group in sync, 98 Degrees, and the Backstreet Boys, all us had some of the best black vocal coaches that money could buy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And he said it's no secret, man. He said, it's no secret, man. Like if you can't hear it, something is wrong. Like you can hear the vocal coaching, man.
Oh, of course. It's all in the arrangement, you know.
Yeah, you can hear the vocal coaching and you know, and the way Justin Timberlake was able to control his breath and breathe while he's singing, that's pure D vocal coaching.
Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays they don't even do that anymore. Now they got Melodyne, so no matter what note you sing, they're just going to digitally tune it. So,
right,
you know,
they've
made it so blatant that now you don't even listen for the vocals. You're listening for the like they call it the T-Pain effect. You know, you're not hearing the vocal. You're hearing what the computer is singing.
Right.
So if you have a record that doesn't have that, it won't sell because they've indoctrinated people's ears into listening for the electronics, not the human voice anymore. We've already gone to the point where they don't use real musicians anymore because everything is synthesized or it's just a loop playing the same 16 bars over and over again. So they've been successful in, you know, getting a lot of musicians, black and white, not out of a job. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm surprised that Diddy ain't try to sign you, because I know that Diddy have been at some of the events that you sung at too.
Who?
I did my research. Huh?
Who didn't try to sign me?
Diddy.
Oh, he did.
I'm pretty sure. I was like, you know what?
Page and look at my. I think it's my musical journey is what folded.
I seen it. That's why I brought it up.
Oh yeah, he wanted. Yeah, they. You know, I got the phone call to come on. Maybe not that night, but another night. You know, The thing with Diddy is he doesn't negotiate the contract. He's gonna give it to you, and that's what you're supposed to sign.
Nah.
See? And the problem is, you know, and that's I mean, for some that's a good situation because they're coming from having nothing, and they're willing, not understanding the business, they're willing to be, you know, like they say 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. For me, having the background in music that I had, you know, once again, my dad worked for WEA, one at Electra Atlantic, but with the Atlantic division mostly. Kendall Mentor being my lawyer, who's represented everybody from Jay-Z to whomever, to Kirk Franklin to whomever. My godmother, Millie Jackson, going out on tour with her. My first cousin, Sister Sledge, going out on the road. I already knew the ropes, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I was.
Boy, listen, man. Listen, we're gonna pause. Yeah. You said my first cousin, Sister Sledge, boy, shut the front door.
Oh yeah, that was we are family.
I remember, man. I remember. I think who it was. I think it was Sister Sledge, Soul to Soul, Atlantic Star.
Oh wow.
And I think it was when Karen White dropped her very first single. That was a tour that they brought down south. Wow. I think I was about 13 years old.
Right.
But I had some older cousins going to that concert out there in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, man. So when you
they're not my first cousins, but they're my cousins. I say first cousins because that brings them closer to my heart. I never
right.
The first time I saw them when I was a little boy, and my dad was like, "We're gonna go see your cousins." And I knew of Sister Sledge. I knew the story, but your dad tells you things like, you say Santa Claus is real. You'd be like, "This okay, It ain't, but you did. But it's all right to say that because at least it gives you something to believe in." So we go, and Kathy Sledge, the lead singer, is waiting at the stage door, and we walk up, and she was like, "There's my babies." I'm about 7 years old, 6, 7 years old. And I'm looking at this woman that I saw on American Bandstand, and Soul Train, and all these shows, and she's standing right in front of me, and she's confirming that we're family. Don't you know? At the end of the show, at the finale of the show, she brought me up on stage at the Apollo, and I sang "We Are Family" with her.
Oh wow!
Me and my brother, man, I was hooked. I knew I wanted to sing before that, but and I grew up kind of going to the Apollo because I was able, but never on stage, during the show. I could play on the stage when nobody wasn't there yet because I'm just one of the executives' kids. So I could walk around the whole place. But a full audience, they say, "I want to bring up my cousin, my baby cousin and his brother, Todd and Anthony. Y'all come up here." Bruh. And you stand up there and you feel the energy from that crowd. That's a real thing. Like when people say there's an energy, when it's to the extreme where when they clap, like when they give applause, you can literally, if you can feel it. Mm-hmm. It feels like if you can imagine what a magnet feels like when you take two magnets and try to push them against you feel that force that pushes them away. That's what it feels like. You feel it in your chest. That's why people get addicted to that. It's an amazing. Those people that fall out at Michael Jackson concerts aren't faking. There's an energy there. There's a spiritual thing that happens when you're that connected. All of those energies focused on one thing, and then, it'll change your life. That's why when cats have careers and their careers kind of go down the tubes and they miss that, they resort to drugs, to something to compensate for that. And all that is love. Mm. That force that you feel, that thing that changes you, that you feel when the people are out there, that's love, man. So
okay. So Ron, let's talk about before we get out here, I want to talk about one last thing. With you being a singer of this magnitude and this special ass gift that you got, man. That whole New Jack City era, when it was Keith Sweat and Aaron Hall and all of them cats that's legendary that was coming out of New York singing, man. And you was around that whole circuit,
right?
Let's talk like so. How was that circuit? And because these guys wasn't quite, they was big, but they wasn't quite as big as that we thought they was gonna become. So they became huge, and so I kind of have some fellas, older fellas in my camp, some of my OGs that can tell me about, how Teddy and Aaron and Damon and all of them got together, and because Teddy people is from Fort Smith, Virginia, and so I got some homies down there that, like, my cousin Teddy tells about it all the time. He said it was kind of weird, but that whole New Jack City vibe in New York just was like a rushing roller coaster, man, running concurrently, man. So how was that New Jack City era for you?
First of all, Teddy Riley, to this day, I believe is one of the most amazing producers, bro.
Facts.
He took his experience growing up in Harlem and mastered a way of combining hip hop, R&B, jazz, blues. I mean, New Jack's swing. I mean, he's a product of an amazing musical environment, and first of all, a great cat, humble dude, very, very talented dude. Everybody wanted to be cool like those guys. You know what I'm saying? And they were not cool in the sense of the way that they look at cool now. See, cool is gangsterism. See, back then, you had to have your fly suit on. Aaron was bringing the vocals. You know what I'm saying? They had the dance steps, everything. It was about showmanship, and those cats were that Gene Griffith, who is funny. My dad and Gene knew each other very, very well.
Right.
Funny Gene Griffith story too. I'll tell you that after that. The way that affected me made me understand. First of all, Aaron Hall's style is very, very influenced by Charlie Wilson. So if you really, Charlie's still a bad boy.
Oh yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Then of course now R. Kelly is a byproduct of Aaron Hall. If you really want to be,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But we don't look at it. But KC is a product of Charlie Wilson. In a sense,
Charlie, but Bobby Womack.
That too.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that's Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby had that that.
Right.
See, he got that country blues boy thing.
Right.
Bobby Wilson got that Midwest funk.
Yeah. Charlie bad man. And but man, a person that to me had one of the most smoothest voices, man.
Who's that?
Is my man Cool from Kool in the Game.
Oh man, one of my ex-managers.
Okay. Yeah, man. So before we get out of here, Ron, I just want you to give us a little taste of something, bro. A little taste of something, man.
It has to be Luther.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I need to have you next to me in more ways than one, and I refuse to leave till I see the morning sun creep through your window pane, 'cause love won't let me wait. Ooh, yeah.
My man. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a good friend of mine, Ron Anthony, man. Legendary, man. Worked with Luther for a very, very long time. Worked with Patty, worked with a whole lot of other more people that's been in the industry for years, man. Legendary people, man. So, Ron, what can we expect from you in 2022? And is there anything that you have out for, on Spotify, Apple Music, or anything like that right now?
We're getting ready to do a release now called Ron Anthony Unauthorized. And I'm going into the crate and pulling out some things that I'm revamping, and songs that I played for some of my buddies. They be like, man, it's been out. I'm like, no, it wasn't the right time yet. So some things that are socially conscious, some things that are, more spiritually based, and then some things that are gonna make you dance, but it's gonna be, you're gonna be dancing for a purpose.
Okay. So you heard it first. So is there a release date or not yet?
Not yet. I'll keep you posted, but you're gonna be one of the first to hear about that. So, yeah.
Okay, my brother. So, ladies and gentlemen, just Ron Anthony. You can hit him up on Facebook, Ron Anthony, or you can go to IG. It's RonAnthony.2019. And if you want to work with him, want to get with him, you can get a hold of me. I'll get a hold of him, and we'll make it happen. And we look forward to seeing him do some great things. And for all you film directors out there, he got some fire for you. So I will be definitely shooting you to some film directors and things of that nature, man. And we can just get it out there, man. We can get some snippets out there to them and see what they think, man. And if it's a go, they can just definitely go in and sign that non-disclosure agreement, and we can get the paperwork going for sure.
No doubt, absolutely.
All right, Ron. I thank you for coming on, man, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, peace.